Hey guys, welcome. We'll give everyone a second to come into the room. We're excited to have you here. It's going to be a fun class. My name is Jessie and I'm with Plaid, and we have Emma in the studio today, and we are both content creators for Plaid. And today Emma is going to be showing us how to make these really cute journals for the new year. So you can write your resolutions in them or your goals for the year, or just any of your thoughts are really great to have around for your desk area. But it's a fun way to sort of spruce up some really inexpensive journals from Michaels. So this class is going to be about an hour. If you decide to make any of these projects, make sure to post them on Facebook or Instagram and hashtag PlaidCraft so we can see your beautiful creations, and also hashtag Make It With Michaels, so we can all see the lovely projects you guys are making. Also, all of these products are, you can purchase them on michaels.com or in the store, as always. So of course, go to Michaels to get all these supplies. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Emma in the studio to show us how to make this awesome project.
Alrighty, well, hey everybody. So like Jessie said, today I'm going to be showing you how to make some really adorable personalized journals. And of course, Michaels is filled with some really awesome journals, especially this time of year. Everyone's making resolutions to stay more organized, stay more mindful. So they have some really great journals and notebooks there already, but they also have some really great blank journals that you can really customize and make them your own. So here I have these two, and they're both Artist Loft. I'm pretty sure one is just lined. Actually, one's totally blank, so you can make it a little sketchbook. One is a bullet journal, so you can, doodle, make notes, make your goals, whatever you want to do with your journals. And of course, today I'm going to show you how to customize it to really make it personal to you. So first, I'd like to go over all the different things that you'll be needing to follow along with me today. So like I said, you're going to need a blank journal. So really, when you're customizing a journal like this, and we're going to use some napkins in Mod Podge. So the napkins go onto your surface kind of transparently with the Mod Podge. So you do want to have a pretty pale colored journal if you want to use napkins, just because you are going to see some of that color through your napkins. So just be mindful of that. So that's why we have this really pretty pale pink color and this white color. So you're going to need your journals. Next, you're going to need some napkins. You can obviously use some paper, some fabric too, but today we're using napkins because they are great for Mod Podging. They really wrap well to whatever surface you have. So, obviously books have a little bit of a curve to them. So this is just a really, napkins are really great for curved surfaces. So that's why we're using that today. And then you're going to need a little bit of Pom Pom Trim. Some of the stuff is optional. So we use Pom Pom Trim, as you can see here, just to kind of go as a little border for our own inspirational phrase. We use some Treasure Gold for this guy as well. Of course, you're going to need your Mod Podge. You can use any formula, matte, satin, gloss. It's totally up to you. We're also going to use a hot glue gun. And then last but not least, we are going to be using these little pictures of inspirational phrases. So we just found these online, but if you want to, you can hand letter them yourself. You can look them up online, you can stencil. And this is just on printer paper, on white printer paper. You could do it on cardstock if you want, any paper that's your favorite, but printer paper also totally works. So just that's a note. So let's go ahead. Oh, also some stencil tape. And they have some really great FolkArt stencil tape at Michaels. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. Like I said, these are from Artist Loft. This is what it looks like in the store. So we're just going to first start by removing the sticker. Trying to get it started. I have no nails. That's always the hardest part. They come off really easy though. Let me know, you guys, which of these journals you like the best, which you're excited to make, or what you want your journal to look like, what you want, what kind of napkins you want to find, what paint you want to paint on it, what color journal you're excited to get, or what color journal you already have if you're crafting along with me. Excuse me. I'd love to know all those details. So if you've never Mod Podged with napkins before, something to note is that napkins have multiple plies. Just if you were to buy, toilet paper from the store, it says 1 ply, 2 ply, whatever. Napkins have plies as well. And the goal for our first step of this is that we want to get it down to just one ply, because then it's the easiest to manipulate onto our surface. And I don't know if you guys just saw that, but I just dipped a teeny bit of my finger in my Mod Podge. Mod Podge is non-toxic, it's water-based, so it's fine. And I just kind of dabbed off a little bit on a paper towel, and that's gonna allow me to separate these plies a little bit easier. So I'm gonna dab some of my thumb too. You know, usually I would use my finger and kind of give the good old trusty lick of the finger, but not today. See how easy that is now? I love that little trick. Just dab some Mod Podge on. And so you guys, it looks like this napkin only has 2 plies, but usually napkins have at least anywhere from 2 to 4 plies. So just keep pulling your layers away until you are really confident that there's no more plies in your napkin. And I just want to very gently peel back that layer, because we don't want our napkin to tear, of course. And just gently peel. How are we looking over there, Jess? Okay.
Oh,
So
I'm muted.
Okay,
Sorry.
I was like, I was having technical difficulties.
I was like, why isn't she answering me? I'm muted because there were some people outside the door. I didn't want you guys hearing all that fuss. Angeli said, what kind of Mod Podge is that?
So that's a great question. This is just original formula Mod Podge. It is matte, but you can of course get it in gloss, satin, whatever finish of Mod Podge you like. I'm more of a matte girl, so that's what we're using today. And now that we have our napkin down to 1, is that all the questions, Jess? Or I
yes,
kind of got
we are good. We're caught up. I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. So now that we're down to just 1 ply on our napkin, I want to trim off this white space. See how this is a super decorative dinner napkin? So we're just going to trim off that white space. So we're left with just this really palm leaf pattern. So Jess, which of these journals is your favorite?
You know, I really can't decide. I love the colors and I love the details of the pom-pom, but I also just like love a tropical pattern. So honestly, I cannot decide. I guess I would go with the one that isn't lined. That isn't really commenting on the style of the journal, but I like a sketchbook over a journal.
Yeah.
Cricut wants to know, will this work on a plastic or laminated cover?
Yeah, it totally will. You know, Mod Podge is multi-surface for the most part, and so it works really well on metal, on plastic, on wood, of course, and on fabric. So yeah, it would definitely work on laminate or plastic covers.
Sometimes when I'm Mod Podging on like a plastic too, if it's like a very shiny plastic, just because, you know, nothing wants to stick to really shiny plastic like that, I'll take like a really fine grit sandpaper and just rough up the surface a little, and it just helps like paint or adhesives or, you know, decoupage mediums like Mod Podge just to hang on a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a great tip, Jess.
Yeah.
So now, you know, now that we got that really straight line, because we had our little guide, our little obviously blank space as our guide, I want to just kind of, you know, space out where I want my napkin to fall on here. And I like this. I like the sharp line it gives me. So now I'm just going to kind of trim this up. And if you guys can see here, we cut out this cute little leaf. So I see a leaf that I like on my napkin. So I'm just going to trim that part off and save him to be my little leaf for this notebook. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my brush and I'm going to start Mod Podging right onto my notebook.
Somebody asked, it's Mo or Mao, I'm not sure how to pronounce their name, but they said scrapbook paper.
Yeah, absolutely. You could use scrapbook paper. You could totally use scrapbook paper for this craft. The reason we're using napkins today is just because it's really easy. Mod Podge is like napkins, you know, they're best friends. Napkins are really good for Mod Podging on curved surfaces. And you can see we have some curvature in this notebook. So that's why we're using napkins. You could absolutely use scrapbook paper, but yeah, we're using napkins.
Yeah, Michael's has tons
So
of scrapbook paper, so that's a great idea that they have a whole aisle and you can just, they have every pattern and color you could possibly think of.
absolutely, you can really personalize it to make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing to note before we start placing this down, I want to hold my napkin really taut because there's so many pros to napkins. But one thing to note when you're using napkins is that you know, they're more likely to fold over on themselves. So you just have to, it's totally fine to just keep your napkin taut. You want to make sure you get that clean line. Okay, and I want to start with my clean line first. And before that part of my napkin goes down, I just want to make sure that the edge is really, really nice on there. Does that make sense? And now I just want to go back with my finger. You don't even need a brayer or anything. And I just want to make sure that that is really, really smooth.
That looks awesome.
And so if your Mod Podge dries a little bit, it's totally fine. Mine did a little bit, so I'm just gonna lift my napkin up, apply some more Mod Podge, hold it taut, and smooth it out.
It's looking good already.
Ask you guys, what'd you say?
I was just saying it looks great already.
Oh, good. So as you can see here, my napkin goes to my why can't I think of what that's called? The spine of my book. Thank you, Dylan. Okay, so of course I'm going to apply some Mod Podge to the spine of my book.
Cricut said that green and pink color combo is so satisfying.
We think so too, Cricut, and we're super glad you like it.
Yeah, and Yvette said that looks amazing.
Awesome. Hold it taut and then smooth it out. And so another thing to note, when I like to Mod Podge, if I'm smoothing it out like this way, I never want to change directions because I'm pushing the air out. So if I were to start smoothing it that way with my finger, and then I start to smooth this way, I'm gonna, you know, trap that air in. So we want to push it one way. So I'm going to continue going counterclockwise onto the back there. And a little bit of our Mod Podge dried. So we're just gonna get under there a little bit and smooth it out. Perfect.
We have a couple questions, Em.
Okay.
Kat wants to know, can you Mod Podge the top of the tissue? So I guess they mean like to seal it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're getting ahead of us, Kat. We're gonna do that.
You guys are like psychics. And then we have another question. Serena wants to know, did you apply a thin layer or a thick layer of Mod Podge?
A pretty thin layer because we are working with napkins. You don't have to apply such of a thick layer because napkins are so thin themselves. So yeah, we applied a pretty thin layer. Those are great questions. So now I'm going to trim some of this excess napkin, but I'm just going to leave a little bit on there that's kind of coming off my edge because we're going to wrap it on the cover of our book just to make a really clean line. And you have to be careful because your napkin is a little damp now, so it's more likely to tear. And I want to go totally flush to the spine of my book.
Evan said, making a baby book with baby shower napkins.
Oh my gosh, I love that idea.
Awesome idea. I love it. Maya or Mia says, what if your napkin breaks?
Okay, so if your napkin breaks, a lot of times with these pattern napkins, you can grab another napkin and find the spot where it broke, and you can cut that part out and place it right over it so you can kind of cover those holes in your napkin. I've definitely had to do that before. So that's what I would do. Do you have any other suggestions, Jess?
No, I love that idea because really whenever you have a pattern napkin like this, there's going to be a repeat pattern. So at some point, some other area of that napkin or pull out another napkin, because of course you'll have a ton of them if you had to buy the pack. You can just really like patch it. Just grab an area that has the same pattern and just patch it right over it. I love that idea.
So as you guys can see, I just put a little bit of Mod Podge at the cover, and I'm just gonna use my finger and fold it over. And I'm starting on the outside and I'm wrapping it under so that I don't get any weird lines. See? And I want to start with the spine here and just apply a little bit right there, just so I can, you know, so that pattern keeps going where it should. And I'm going to use my scissors and just kind of trim some of that excess off.
I love this project because it's great for kids and adults, I feel like.
Yeah, totally. This is, you know, great for if you're in school. Well, I shouldn't have done that. If you're in school, this is a great little journal for school, little notebook. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we are going to see this cute monstera leaf. We're gonna go around and cut right around all the edges, and we want to get really up and close. And I don't know if you guys can see, but see how on my pattern, some of my leaves go over the leaf that I want to cut out? Because these colors are so similar and they're in the same tone, I'm just going to follow the shape of that monstera leaf like it would be continuing if that leaf weren't intersecting it. Because as you guys can see here, that's what I did here. And you can't even tell. See how that's a different leaf than it's kind of going over that? You totally can't tell. And so some of these leaves you can kind of tell go under. So if it's like white space like that, I'm not too worried about going and cutting that part out because the white space will disappear once it's on my pale pink notebook. But because this green is kind of intersecting the really pretty shape of that monstera leaf, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cut around it.
This is very relaxing to watch.
I was just thinking, there's something so relaxing about cutting out shapes that you're out of paper or napkins that you want to Mod Podge with.
Cricut just said you answered her question as she was typing.
I love that. That's awesome.
So after these Michael's classes, Michael's will post it on michaels.com, all of the recordings of the class. So usually takes 24 to 48 hours, but just go back to the page where you found this class to register for it. And all of the recordings are right there and it'll take you to YouTube and you can watch this class over again. Adriana, oh, real quick question. Adriana wants to know, can you use cloth instead of paper?
Yeah, absolutely. If you were using cloth instead of paper, I would recommend using our fabric Mod Podge. We have a lot of great formulas of Mod Podge, and fabric is obviously formulated for fabric, so it's really designed to work really well to adhere fabric to different surfaces. Since we're talking about fabric Mod Podge, it works the best if you're wanting to adhere fabric to fabric, and just read the description, the label on the bottle. After you adhere fabric to fabric with our fabric Mod Podge, it is machine washable. So there's a lot of great benefits to fabric Mod Podge. So if you haven't checked it out, you should definitely check it out, buy a bottle and see for yourself. Okay.
And you said when you open the book, the napkin won't rip when you open it?
Nope.
I would just, yeah, I would, you know, make sure it dries a little bit before you're using it too much. As you can see, Emma's doing it and it's not tearing at all, but let it dry because it, you know, will strengthen and then it'll be super durable, especially if you put another top coat over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And already this has dried a good deal. So, you know, it's letting me kind of put some wear and tear on it without it being affected at all. But after this, I would definitely go ahead. I'm gonna apply some more, little goodies on top, but afterwards I would definitely seal this again, just with our Mod Podge Matte. And then it'll be really durable. You can open and close it, obviously. You can use it just like a regular journal and it'll be pretty durable. Okay, so now I'm going to apply some Mod Podge to my bottom corner because as you can see, that's what I did here. I'm going to put our little leaf. Okay, we're going to touch down, kind of tap our napkin on there, making sure that it is smooth. And we're going to brush our finger one way. Just smoothing that out. How cute, you guys. And I'm going to apply a little bit of Mod Podge onto the back side. And I'm going to cut right here just to kind of act as a little, I don't know what you'd call that. Just so I'm able to fold it that way and then fold it again this way. So it doesn't tear or doesn't turn into a weird shape. I'm going to trim the excess. Don't go that way. Ta-da! And now we get to cut out our little inspirational phrase.
That's
So
so cute.
usually, thanks, Jess. So usually I'd like to get a ruler or something just to get, uh-oh, it's coming off a little bit.
While you're fixing that, Carla wants to know, is the surface of the journal canvas?
It's not canvas. It's kind of like a fabric-y material. So no, it's not canvas.
Okay.
And also, like we said in the beginning, Michaels has some really, really awesome journal and notebook surfaces. So they have them of all different, sorts of, they have leather ones and fabric ones and paper ones. So definitely go check out Michaels and choose your, the notebook you like the best. Okay, so I normally like to have a ruler just to get some really clean lines when I'm doing something like this, but really anything with a straight edge will do just fine. So today I'm going to use my napkin since we are crafting with napkins to achieve that clean line that I'm looking for. And I'm using a pencil because if I don't like the shape that I made, I'm going to erase it.
Real quick, Serena said, I'm in 4th grade, which to me feels stressing a little. So a journal for school or a diary will be so helpful.
I'm so glad, Serena.
I'm sorry that 4th grade is stressing you out.
Yeah.
But yes, it is good to write your thoughts when you're feeling like that. I love that.
Absolutely.
I hope you make yourself a journal.
Don't like that line. I'm going to erase it.
Arlinda said earlier when she's smoothing down her napkins, she likes to put some cling wrap over it.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
When she's smoothing it. I know, that's such a good tip.
Okay, so now we have our perfect little square that we can cut out. And obviously you can use a paper cutter if you have one at home, if you're a scrapbooker, but scissors will work fine. And as you can see, I have multiple cutouts because you can never be too prepared when you craft. Sometimes I make mistakes.
Fabiana wants to know, how can I prevent it from sticking to my hands?
You could, I like to sometimes have baby wipes when I am working with Mod Podge, just so I can quickly get it off my fingers. But the best tip is to just keep your fingertips really clean. So, you know, once you are smoothing something down, I would want to either wash my hands or use my baby wipes on my fingers before I try to apply another thing down, so that this paper doesn't stick to my Mod Podge fingers. Hope that helps.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I think the cling wrap will also be good for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Cling wrap would definitely help to keep your fingers clean. Okay, so now we're going to center this on our journal. Get it where we like it. Perfect. Same thing we did before. We're going to go over it with our Mod Podge.
Gail said, what was the pinkish color you just painted over the word? But just as a reminder, these are just some really cute little designs and graphics that Emma found online and printed out for her journal. So that pink was just part of the little cute little design she found. So
yeah. And obviously you can find your own design, whatever speaks to you. Yes, you can spoke to me. So that's why I printed it out for today.
Cute stuff in magazines or whatever you've got at home, catalogs, and, you know, Mod Podge that onto your journal. But we just found
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you could use a stencil and stencil something onto paper or directly onto your journal. Or, of course, you can, Michael's has some really great scrapbook books with some cute little inspirational phrases in them. So that's a great idea too. The options are endless. You can find inspirational quotes anywhere. All right, you guys, so that's that one. I hope you guys liked it. Now we're going to move on to our second one.
It looks amazing. I think everybody loves it. Karen said, great job.
Good. Thanks, Karen.
Karen also said she's a teacher, so she was wishing Serena best wishes in the chat.
That's awesome. She's used to giving positive affirmations all day long, I bet.
Definitely.
Hey, Dylan, would you mind grabbing me just a paper plate or something, a palette? While Dylan is grabbing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my You Are Amazing.
Everybody just saying how much they love it. It's beautiful, awesome, love it, thank you, great job, nice job. So
good. I'm so glad.
Great project, Em.
So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use my notebook since I have it out. And I'm going to use this as my flat edge, my smooth edge to make my shape.
That's smart.
Yeah.
While you're making that shape around it, we had a couple questions. Will you seal the papers and the napkins once they're dry with more Mod Podge?
Yes. So I'm waiting for this to dry, and then I would go ahead and I would seal it. Thank you so much, Dylan. And then I would go ahead and I would seal it with another coat of Mod Podge. But I just like to wait, especially with napkins, since they are so fragile. I like to wait till it's totally dry and the napkins harden a little bit before I go ahead and seal it with another layer of Mod Podge. We probably won't get to that in this class, but just know that that is a great idea to do, to go ahead and seal it with Mod Podge after it's totally dry. Awesome. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. Serena said, I can't wait to use these strategies.
Awesome. I'm so glad, Serena. Okay. Oops. Here we go.
We've got some people crafting along with us, Em.
Good.
We've got tons of people watching, getting inspired.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, it's a nice little, we're in Atlanta and it's pretty dreary here. So this is a fun little project for a dreary Wednesday afternoon for us.
Yes, absolutely. You guys, I really want to know what you are making your journals for. If you're making them for to-do lists, like a little calendar, I want to know what you're going to put in your journal. I was thinking of, different ways to be creative this year. And I saw on TikTok And Plaid Crafts has a TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, go follow Plaid Crafts. We have some really, really awesome videos and inspiration for you. But I saw someone making a film journal. So they were just kind of scrapbooking, you know, their favorite scenes in movies, some of their favorite quotes from the movies, and like washi tape and scrapbook paper that kind of inspired them from the movie, you know, some similar themes. So I was thinking I would maybe turn one of these into a film art journal. So I'd love to know what you guys are planning to do with all of your journals.
Well, let me tell you what they're planning to do. Winnie said bullet journal. Yvette said thoughts/art journal. Karen said self-care journal. Van said, yeah, Van said travel journal. Gasto said hand lettering, which I love that. Serena said, I will put my notes, my resolutions, to-do schedules, and doodles.
Wow.
Mine says where memories happen, a faithful planner, inspirational phrases and recipes. We've got tons of great ideas here, people. You guys are so creative.
That. And I love that you guys are able to kind of like share all those ideas in the chat. Maybe there's some of you that
I'm getting ideas.
Yeah. That's awesome. Those are just all such good ideas, you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my other napkin and we're gonna go ahead and do what we did with the first guy. We're gonna take our plies off and make sure that there's just one ply left. So I'm gonna get my hands a little sticky.
Nancy said, I'd like to use this craft idea with a small group of high school girls I meet with every other week. Great for high schoolers. So fun.
Yeah. And this is a pretty inexpensive craft too, you guys. A lot of people have cute napkins at home. You know, maybe you already have your Mod Podge. Mod Podge isn't super expensive. And these journals are really inexpensive too. And if you have some markers to hand letter, or, you know, if you have a printer at home to get your inspirational quotes.
Yeah, we've got a couple questions in between all these ideas before they get lost in the chat.
Okay.
Parvin wants to know, can we use this to decorate on plastic drawers? So that kind of goes back to that other question we had.
Yeah, so, you know, Jessie kind of mentioned if you're going to be Mod Podging napkins onto plastic, it's good to get some fine grit sandpaper just to kind of roughen your plastic a little bit and create some texture, just so the Mod Podge has something to stick on. Because plastic is so super smooth, it is a little bit challenging to, you know, get things to adhere to it sometimes. So use some fine grit sandpaper if you feel like you're going to need it. Otherwise, you know, Mod Podge is multi-surface, so.
Yeah. And then we had one more question. What kind of napkins are you using? So these are just regular party napkins, right?
Yeah, these are just dinner napkins. Michael's has some really awesome napkins. We got these from our personal napkin collection, but you can find them anywhere.
Yeah, Michael's has great seasonal napkins too. So it's really fun, you know, to kind of collect throughout the year. You can grab your Halloween ones and your fall ones, your spring ones. So they have kind of like new ones all throughout the year, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Emily said,
okay, now we're left with the good stuff.
Oh, sorry. This is
What'd
really
you say?
fun.
Sorry.
I'll wait for this question because this is a really fun part.
Oh no, I was just saying now we're left with the good part, with our one fly with the design on it. Go ahead.
Yes. Emily was just saying she saw somebody a Mod Podge session for napkins with plastic, and the lady used chalk paint on the plastic first, let it dry, and then she put Mod Podge over the dried paint and then the napkins, and it turned out great.
That is a great idea. If you guys don't know, we have a really, really, really awesome paint. It is our FolkArt Home Decor Chalk Paint. It's available at Michael's in a great variety of colors, and it is really awesome for finishing furniture. We like to use it as a base coat, sometimes under some of our metallic paints, under some of our paints that are,
love it. Yeah,
that are not multi-surface, because chalk paint is multi-surface, and it has a chalky, we're still really smooth, but it has an ultra matte finish and it clings on to surfaces really, really well. So that is a really, really awesome idea. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we totally use that technique too sometimes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Before I do that, I want to go ahead and tape off my journal so that I can paint it with treasure gold. So let's see, where did I tape it that time? I'm gonna go to about here. And this is, again, if you're just tuning in, this is just some stencil tape that you can get in the stencil aisle at Michael's. It's FolkArt stencil tape, and I use it all the time for color blocking, for stenciling. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my stencil tape is totally flush to my notebook. Just smooth that out really well. And here's a hot tip for you guys. So if you don't know, we have a really great paint at Plaid. It's called Treasure Gold. It's FolkArt Treasure Gold, and it is pretty much the most metallic paint on the market that is non-toxic. So I'll show you guys how metallic it is. I mean, it is just like stunning. Gorgeous, stunning. Look at that.
If you've joined our classes before, we always use Treasure Gold. We love it so much in our paint nights on Mondays and in our craft classes throughout the week. It's one of our absolute favorite formulas that we make. It's just so fun to use, and it's absolutely so beautiful. And you can buy it at Michael's, of course.
Yes, and they have, it's not just gold, it comes in, let's see, I thought I had some here. It comes in rose gold, Mayan gold, a bunch of different, and then colors too, like blue topaz, purple amethyst. Comes in some really awesome colors. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, but the tip I wanted to give you guys is sometimes when we, if you have ever used metallic paints before, sometimes you do have to apply a lot of coats just because a lot of the pigment is so metallic that you have to use a lot of coats. So a tip I want to give you guys today, if you're using metallic paint, we have found that base coating it with black paint works really well, and it leaves you to, to leave less coats on your surface.
Emma, what is the Mod Podge Facebook group called? Do you guys remember Amy Anderson's group, Mod Podge Rocks?
Yeah, it's called Mod Podge Rocks. Okay. It's a really, really awesome resource. It's on Facebook. It's an awesome place to go to for some really great community of Mod Podgers. They share tips and techniques, finished projects, where they bought some cool napkins, some cool scrapbook paper. So if you are a beginner to Mod Podge or you've been using Mod Podge for years, it's a Mod Podge Rocks on Facebook. It's a group, and it's a really, really great resource for all different types of Mod Podging, everything Mod Podge.
Yeah, Ree was just asking if there's any groups or anything that we or Michael's have to learn more about Mod Podge. So I popped that in the chat. And also, guys, you can always go to plaidonline.com. We have hundreds of projects, and they all have supply lists and instructions. So yeah, feel free to check that out. Go to our project section. We've got truly hundreds of Mod Podge projects you can look at, all of our different products. So yeah, make sure to check that out for some more inspiration.
Absolutely. So you guys, for time's sake, I'm just going to apply paint in our napkins to the front of our notebook here, but I would put it on the back. And you guys, we misspoke. The blog is called Mod Podge Rocks, but the Facebook group is actually called Get Crafty with Mod Podge. Getting Crafty with Mod Podge. Our apologies. So that is the group that you can go to for some really, really awesome Mod Podge tips, tricks, and inspiration. Getting Crafty with Mod Podge.
Okay, I'm going to type that in the group. Sorry, guys. It's not our group. It's belongs to someone named Amy Anderson, who we love and partner with all the time. So we are really active on that Facebook group, but we don't own it. We just want to give you guys that information. Getting Crafty with Mod Podge.
Okay, you guys, so I'm just gonna hit this notebook with a hair dryer really quick just to speed things along. Okay, now that that is nice and dry, we can go ahead and apply our treasure gold.
Woohoo! Best part.
Woo, woo.
Cricket said treasure gold is their favorite.
Me too, Cricket.
I think Cricket's been in a class or two with us, so.
Yeah, so if anyone knows. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go right ahead and use my FolkArt treasure gold. Ta-da. So the reason I did black, if you guys are just tuning in, it is a great base coat for all of your metallic paints. And if I were to just brush this treasure gold right onto my white surface, I probably need a few coats. But the black really allows me to not put as many coats on here. You could also kind of match the color underneath. So maybe I would put a really ochre color underneath. If I were using our blue topaz color, maybe I'd put a baby blue. But black is kind of like the universal base coat color for metallic paints.
Which black were you using, Em?
This is just FolkArt Pure Black.
It has already signed up for the plaid classes through March. And
What'd you
that's
say?
all we planned through March. So you're signed up for all of them, Cricket.
Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this with a blow dryer again. And just so you guys don't have to see me painting and then blow drying, I'd probably just paint on top of this, my treasure gold, just one more time, and then I'd be good to go. So I'm just gonna let you guys know that. But you know what, before I blow dry, it doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove my stencil tape. Now hit it with the blow dryer. Okay, there we are. I want to make sure my hot glue gun is still on for when I need it later. Perfect. Okay, so now, because our napkin pattern has lots of cute little triangles, we can kind of be mindful in our heads of where a straight line is going to fall. Since there's a bunch of points, we just want to follow all those points, and that way we'll be able to cut a really straight line. Because we, of course, we want our line to meet up right where our treasure gold ends.
It was a very active chat today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody, if you, if your napkin didn't have a bunch of triangles on it, which probably most napkins don't, I would assume. The reason I'm doing this instead of drawing on top of it a straight line and using my straight edge with one of my notebooks is just because I'm afraid my napkin would tear because it is so fragile. So a tip I would give you guys is just to make your straight line before you remove all your plies. That will leave the napkin to be more durable. But I already removed my plies, so that's why I did that. Okay, now we are going to apply Mod Podge all in this white space, and I'm going to show you kind of a little technique because we don't want any Mod Podge to lie underneath our, by our treasure gold, because we just want our napkin to stick, make that really straight line and just stay above it. So I'll get my brush. And I like to just keep the, the parts that you don't use of your napkin, just, to kind of reuse it a little bit so we're not so wasteful. and just use it to clean off my brush or whatever I need a rag or a napkin for. Okay, applying my Mod Podge here.
Vicky said makes wonderful gifts. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Serena said mine will be a faithful friend journal.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen on the internet too, friend groups like writing, keeping, it's kind of like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants or something, a friend group keeping a journal and just kind of, you know, journaling in it and making some art in it. And then like every month or every week or so, or really however long, passing it to a different person in their friend group, and everyone gets to add to it.
I love that, especially these days when we're not able to see our friends as much, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of a way to keep up with each other that's not social media, but even though social media is amazing. Yeah, exactly. Get something tangible. I love that.
Totally. Okay, and so now I'm just going to use the edge of my brush with Mod Podge on it and shimmy up to that line. And that's going to allow me to just maintain a really straight line of Mod Podge and not go over to my treasure gold.
Love it.
And now, just like we did before, everybody, we're going to hold our napkin very taut, and we're going to start down right at the edge because we want to start by making that super, super straight edge.
While you're doing that, Jay Cal said, perhaps I should make another journal to keep up with all the wonderful classes, techniques, and supply lists for these great projects I have enjoyed with the Plaid instructors.
That is so awesome.
And then right before that, Cricut said something similar. I love it.
And you guys, we just absolutely love being able to do these classes for you guys and just giving you a little bit of inspiration, maybe showing you some ideas you might have never thought of before.
Mm-hmm. Getting to talk to you guys is so fun. We do lots of videos at Plaid, but not all of them we get to interact with everybody online, so that's extra fun.
Yes, absolutely. It is definitely some of the highlights of my weeks, my days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to trim this bad boy a little bit.
Cute. It looks so cute already.
Good. So now I'm just going to apply some Mod Podge on the inside here so that I can bring it down. Bring it around, I should say. I'm just adding my Mod Podge to all those little weird areas to make sure that my napkin is on there. And then I'm going to go back and just trim it up. How cute.
I love it. So cute. I love the gold with those bright colors. That's so fun.
Me too. And like I said, you guys, maybe I would go ahead and do another coat of the treasure gold, but just for time's sake today, we're just going to leave it at one coat. But even one coat, you guys.
I know. It looks really great on camera. It looks super shiny.
Yeah, it is in real life too. Okay. Now that we cut out our inspirational phrase, I just want to go ahead and kind of estimate where I want that to fall on my notebook, and I like it right there. And because there's a lot of napkin on here, and it is pretty fragile and it is still wet, normally what I would do is I would totally wait for this to dry before Mod Podging my little decal on top. But just for time's sake, instead of applying Mod Podge to my notebook, I'm going to apply Mod Podge to my paper. Just so when I'm brushing it on there, I don't rip my napkin.
Mm, that's a great tip. Yeah, you don't want to be going over that wet napkin.
Yeah.
Everybody's loving it, Em. Everybody's saying, great job. I adore this project. Very lovely, very nice.
Awesome. I'm so glad that
This
this
was a
project
hit.
resonates with you guys. So right there is good with me. Now I'm going to smooth this out with my fingers. It's that simple, you guys. I mean, this project couldn't be any easier. It is super duper easy and you're left with a really cute result. And now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take our Pom Pom Trim and we are going to line our little, we're using this aqua color, but of course we use magenta in the project photo and the class photo. We're using aqua today. You can use whatever color you like. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to see how long I need that to be. So right about here. And I just want to kind of, and it's a good thing that there's pom-poms on here. I can kind of see about which pom-pom I need to cut to. And now that I have the bottom and the side of my rectangle, I can just use that as my measurements for the opposite sides. So I can use the bottom for the top and the right for the left. And just make sure your pom-pom trim is taut because, you know, that way you'll get a more accurate measurement. And of course, you would want, if anything, if your pom-pom trim would be shorter or longer than you want it, you would want it to be longer because you could obviously just trim the excess. So if you're kind of unsure, just maybe give yourself an extra millimeter. And I'm going to go in with my hot glue gun and apply my pom-pom trim. And I'm not going to be very generous with my hot glue gun because I don't want my hot glue poking through my pom-pom trim. So just be mindful of that. You don't want a whole lot of hot glue on there because we don't really want to see it. That's not cute. And I'm going to go right on my paper and apply a thin layer.
Nan is just asking again, once you have the napkin on, do you go over everything again with Mod Podge? So yes, you do. Emma's not doing it now because you want to wait until everything is fully dry. Otherwise your napkins might wrinkle. So, you know, even leave it overnight maybe, and then put a full coat of Mod Podge over all of your papers again, just for some extra protection.
Yeah. I'm just going to all the sides.
Yeah, Emma's putting the pom-pom on now just for the sake of the class to show you guys how to do it. But in real life, if she were making this, she would Mod Podge all the papers first and then add the pom-pom after.
Absolutely. Thanks for touching on that again, Jess.
Yeah, just a couple questions people had about that.
Well, I'm thankful that they asked again, just so everyone gets that clarification.
Jay Kyle said, you had me at pom-pom. We love a pom-pom.
We do have a pom-pom.
Pom-poms are making a comeback, Cricut. You're right. I don't think they ever went away, personally. But I do think I've been seeing them all over Instagram and Pinterest. People are loving pom-poms again. They're so, so fun.
Well, all right, my friend. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, one more question. Karen said, will it smear ink?
The picture?
Yeah, like will Mod Podge like smear ink?
No, Mod Podge was totally formulated to work on a variety of different papers, scrapbook paper, printed printer paper. So no, it won't smear. That's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mod Podge is super awesome like that.
Awesome.
And with that, you guys, I think we are done. We made our 2 really super cute notebooks. I hope you guys enjoyed crafting along with us today and just kind of hanging out with us for a little bit and gathering some inspiration to make your very own journal.
Yeah. Our neck, are they still there? It's cutting out for me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm still here. You want to tell them about what's going on next? Or about your paint nights?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it was cutting out for me, the sound. I couldn't tell if you were still talking. But yeah, I guess Emma said that this coming Monday is our next Michael's class. Sorry if I'm repeating. 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we will see you then. We've got a couple more classes next week too, so make sure to check out Michael's calendar. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.